Amen. All right, good morning, you guys. We're here this morning with another truth tester for you and for our youth group. I'm Pastor TJ. I would like to invite you, everybody that's tuning in online, to another episode, another edition of Truth Testers. We experiment with reality in hopes to discover the truth, and as we uncover the truth of natural laws that govern our world and our universe, we make an application to those natural laws to spiritual laws that are very present in our universe. And through this experience, we hope that you come to encounter the reality, the greatest reality of all, the reality that is in the truth that is in Jesus. We're glad you're with us. We're glad you came. This is a fresh, new format, and we hope it's focused and that it's intense, and that as you come with us on this journey this morning, may you have an experience with the truth for yourself. All right, this morning we're going to be looking at, and we're going to, for your consideration, we're going to be looking at invisible forces that are present in the cosmos, invisible forces that are present in our world. This morning the question is, can invisible forces provide protection? Fact or fiction? Is it a fact or is it fiction that invisible forces provide some sort of ability to protect? You know what? Invisible forces are all around us. They surround us in the world that we live in. I mean, you know what? If you've ever been around somebody that has the flu, you want them to keep their distance from you, and you try to keep your distance from them, right? Unless you've had your flu shot, but regardless, you don't want to catch the flu, right? Nobody likes to have that. But you know what? There are so many other invisible forces in our world like that we can't see. But that doesn't mean that they're not there. They're present all the time. And you know what? They may be visible to the human eye only by a microscope, but they're there. There's this whole other world out there that is invisible to the naked eye, but that it's teeming with life. There's these microscopic organisms that are just floating out there in water everywhere, in space and in the air. They are present and they're there, and the only way you can see them is with the help and aid of a microscope. But these organisms are still there. These little amoebas and these little viruses and single cell creatures. They're there and they exist. You can't see them, but they're alive. All right, in this invisible realm. But you know what? There are still other invisible forces at work in our universe that are not visible at all, not even with the help of a microscope. You simply can't see these other forces. But you know what? It doesn't matter. They're still there. They're always present. And you know what? You should be glad, because they're always working for you to protect your way of life on earth. You asked me a question this morning. What are these other invisible forces that are at work? You know what? That's a great question. And I'm glad you asked that. And you know what? As you think about this important question, what kind of things come to your mind? Anybody have any ideas? What enters your brain, Thomas, this morning, if you think about invisible forces other than forces that are microscopic? Forces that exist and that work that you can't see. Anybody? What about thoughts or ideas like gravity? What about thermodynamics? Anybody know about the laws of thermodynamics? What about centrifugal force? Or what about inertia? What about inertia? You know what? There are all these natural laws that were created by God to govern our universe, to provide it. Why? So that our universe can be provided with a sense of stability and order and a sense of predictability. These natural laws also protect the world that we occupy, so that life has a sense of order and not total chaos, and so that life is even humanly possible on our planet. Now let's take a closer look for a moment at the concept of inertia, right? Simply put, inertia describes the natural resistance of an object to rapid change of motion. A more massive object will have more inertia. The bigger the object is, the larger its inertia. And it will obviously be more resistant to any change that is acted upon it, any other force that tries to act upon it to place it into motion, right? That's inertia simply put. You know what? To demonstrate this concept of inertia in a really fun way, what we're going to do is we're going to perform our first truth tester. How about if we allow someone to take a hammer and pound a nail into this board while this board is resting on my head? Does that sound fun to you? Pretty exciting. You know, it might be fun to you, but what about the poor victim that's having to have the nail pounded into a board while it's on his head? Not so fun for him, right? But we're going to go ahead with this first experiment and truth tester so that you can actually see the laws of the invisible forces of inertia in action for yourself. All right, let's do it. Who do we have some help? And to help me out, we're going to put this old family Bible on top of my head, and we're going to see, this is going to help us to see Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion in action, because we're going to see the invisible force of inertia present in this Bible.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. How many strikes does it take to drive a nail? Okay, next, here we go. Now, you know what? Could you imagine somebody driving a nail into a board on top of your head without the invisible force of inertia from this old family Bible protecting you? Wow, you know what? That's a pretty striking experience right there. Whew. Okay. Wow. All right. Did you have fun driving the nails? So it felt like up there somebody was hitting extra hard, like they were really getting, someone was really getting into that experience. All right. Well, you know what? We need to take a look at our storyboard now so that we can find out more about this unique phenomenon of the invisible. Here's our storyboard, and you know what we're looking at? Well, of course, we're looking at inertia this morning. And what we need to understand about inertia, here I am. This is, he's painting me with a mustache here. I'm old enough to have a mustache, but I don't wear one because my wife doesn't like them. So that settles that. But anyways, here I have one. Every body continues in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless it's compelled upon. Okay, this is Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion. Translated from the Principia's Latin, this is called inertia. Essentially, it makes the following two claims, right? Here's simply put inertia. An object that is not moving will not move until a force acts upon it. An object that's not moving, an object that is at rest and is not moving will stay at rest and not move until a force acts upon it. And an object that is in motion will not change velocity until a force acts upon it. Now that's kind of hard to believe, because you're saying if I slide a hockey puck across a table that it would just keep going? You know, if the table's long enough, it eventually runs out and stops, right? How can an object that's in motion stay in motion? But if you slide a hockey puck on an ice rink where there's no friction, if the ice rink was big enough, do you know the hockey puck would just keep going inevitably, continually? It would just keep running and running and going. Isn't that cool? See? But the fact that the hockey puck stops because of the force of friction. Friction is another invisible force that even though you can't see it with your eye or at all, no one can see it. You can't see it, period. But you know what? You can feel the effects of friction. All right. For the next part of our truth tester, we have a second part. We are again